What's going on, brother?
Hey, how you doing, man? Thanks a lot.
Good.
Appreciate it.
No problem. Well, salud, bro. I know you have a cold, por eso ni te
Oh,
ofrecía cerveza.
yeah. Got a real nice tea. Thanks, appreciate it.
No problem, bro.
Yeah.
So tell everybody your name, bro, and who you are to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my name is Eddie Guillen. I born and raised in Chicago, especially Brighton Park. I grew up there, and I went to elementary school there, and then just from there, just moved out to Chicago Lawn, then to Ashburn, and now I'm in West Lawn.
So let's go back to your name. So no relation to Ozzy again, right?
No.
All right. You get that a lot or no?
Yeah, quite a few times.
Yeah?
Yeah. Quite a few times.
Yeah. Yeah, because at first someone told me, like, bro, that's Ozzy Guillen's son. I'm like, no, bro. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's not. So I met you.
Yeah.
And then I was like, Nah, cool, bro. So how was it growing up in, so you grew up there or you were just born in Brighton Park?
No, so yeah, it's just born and raised there.
Yeah.
All the way to 14 years old. So I went to elementary to Nathan Davis.
Okay.
Right there in Pershing. And I went through school there, and I was supposed to go to Kelly. Kelly High School, but my parents knew that I got along with too many people around the community, so a lot of the kids from there, and so my grades weren't that good either.
No, was it a tough neighborhood back then?
Yeah,
like it is
now. It's still.
Yeah,
I think it got a little better, but there's still a presence there, gang activity. So that's kind of the reason why my dad is like, no. I know. I'm not stupid. He's like, I know what's going on.
Right.
You should be home at 6 p.m. Yeah. Which nowadays is like, man, like I see now, like kids can go home whatever time they want, but it was a different lifestyle. So
right. How was how was grade school there? Like, was it normal? Was it tough?
Well,
and everything, or
you know what? It was pretty normal. But to me, one of the things where I kind of noticed was a lot of kids were bullying other kids, and not that many people picked on me because I was always this height. I was always 6 feet tall. So no one really did anything to me. And so I just kind of stood up for others, you know, other kids. But at the same time, that's when my grades weren't as good because I was always a jokester. Yeah. I'm still joking around now, but I was always just going around and cracking jokes. And but I mean, I never went to summer school. Never got suspended for things. Right. I thank a lot of my mom too. She was very involved in the local school council. Yeah. So everybody knew her. The disciplinarian, Mr. Andrade, he knew me. I used to be there like once a week. Yeah. Just go there, and it was always something. But it wasn't not because I started. It was more because I stuck up for somebody. Right. Yeah. So that's kind of person who I was. Yeah. Still am today. Yeah.
Did they back then? So your mom was really involved in school and stuff like that with you?
Yeah. Yeah. Just as a volunteer. Like I said, my dad was he was involved in real estate, and she would just like taking care of us. I had two younger sisters, so she'll have a job here and there, but she was very involved in the school and the committees and just being involved there for me. So I think her a lot too. So I just remember just looking back at the photos, like over by McKinley Park, like she was part of like numerous like protests, and like just see the photos of her holding up the signs when I'm in the carriage, Right. So things like that, so she was very involved. Yeah. So I thank her for kind of like what she instilled that into me, into to this today,
Yeah, I want to ask you about that, but I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves because you are involved in a lot of community stuff all the time and everything else. And you think that's from you learning it from her, seeing her, or you trying to make her proud?
Absolutely. It's one of the things where I seen it and it was like, man, it's like for her to do that, and just be involved and kind of like really instill those morals and values, like, hey, help each other, help others before you help yourself.
Was she was your mom born here or was she born in Mexico?
So she's from Morelia, Michoacan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did she come here
when she was young? Here. Yeah, she came here. Illegally. And that was kind of where what happened. Whereas even to this day, like I don't know who my real dad is. So that's kind of like when my stepdad came in. Right. But I don't call him that. I call him my dad because he's been there from the beginning. Right. So yeah, there was a point where she got pregnant very young, and they told her, hey, you can't stay here, either abortion or you can't. So my mom, obviously I'm here, right? So my mom, she's like, okay, I'm gonna go, and she came over here. There was uncles here already, so she just took that leap. She came over here, and yeah, long story short, man, that's when she got with my dad,
Yeah.
And but that only lasted they only together married for 14 years.
Oh, okay.
And so that kind of separated, but my sister took really hard, because they're younger than me.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, one of those things where like, man, like I look back but even then, seeing her, how she was involved, and also with him too, like I learned so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was great? So you moved from there. You moved when you were 14.
Yeah.
And where did you move to?
Moved to 72nd and Kedzie. So that's like Marquette Park.
Okay.
Right there.
How was that when you moved?
Well, it was different. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody. Had to walk over that bridge. There's that Nabisco plant.
Yeah.
I had to walk over.
The Big Damon Bridge. Or no, the Ashland Bridge.
No, this is on Kedzie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 72nd.
All right.
Like way southwest side.
Okay.
And from there I had to take the bus from 79th and Pulaski. I mean, from Kedzie all the way to 79th and Pulaski. That's where I went to high school, at Bogan.
Okay.
In Bogan High School.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was different. I didn't know about it, but that's what they wanted. They wanted me to be somewhere where I wasn't comfortable.
Right.
To stay late and get involved and stuff like that. So,
right.
But yeah, it was good. Like I said, it was. I got involved in sports, baseball, football. Did a lot of cool things.
So you played football?
Yeah.
Yeah. Baseball?
Yeah.
How did you do
baseball?
Yeah.
No. I did second base, and I did it for 1 year, and I fell in love with football. I did it at the same time, and I just stick with football. Football. I was all over the place. Our team was horrible. Like, really? When I mean horrible, I think they said, I think the second game, we lost the first game. I think the second game, they said that it was the first time the freshman team scored a touchdown within 3 years. So it's like, that told you something, like, man, what's going on, Yeah. But it was pretty interesting. I know. Then that the third game, we actually ended up winning, and they said that was like the first win in 4 years. Right. So like, we broke a lot of records.
Yeah. In 4 years, that was the first win in 4 years?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm like, hey, you know what? It is what it is. But
what did like when you joined sports and football and all that, what did it help you? Like, did it instill stuff in you? Did it help you out with different things or?
Oh, absolutely. Teamwork. Communication.
Yeah.
And I think that applies to everything, now in life. Because we can't do it all, all by ourselves.
Right.
And so it's like just really bonding with others and really just passing the ball to others, right? Because there were some people where they're gifted or talented, and these kids, man, I mean, they got legs for days and just plow through like the line. And it's like, okay, but you also gotta it's a team sport. It can't be all one person. So I learned a lot. I was more on the defense side, from linebacker to the line itself, but I ended up staying like outside linebacker. Yeah. And then on offense, because they had to do everywhere, So in the offense, tight end. So just going through routes and screens and all that, but. Eventually, then I got hurt, after like 3 years doing it. I got hurt, and from there I stopped. Yeah.
Did you so what did you do after high school?
Well, I mean, that's where everything happened with my family. They my parents separated. And so at that time I had to work. So at the age of 15, I was already working at Oak Country Buffet.
Okay, I remember Oak Country Buffet.
Yeah, Oak Country Buffet on 31st and Cicero.
Okay.
So it's not there anymore right now, but it's just Thai or something.
Yeah, it's probably like a Chinese food place.
Yeah.
Buffet now.
So I used to do that, man. I just got out of school like at 2:30. I had to be at work at 4. Yeah. Took 2 buses and 4 to 10, and got out at 11 p.m. and then got home to 12 a.m. Oh, wow. And I did that, and eventually I ended up dropping out of high school because at that time we're in the brink of losing the house, and so I got involved with music. So believe it or not, I used to produce music.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's a whole other thing where my mom used to work at the Hancock building, and she got introduced to this one. It's a security guard, and it was Johnny, and got involved with him and just started making money off music. So
really?
Yeah,
like
I started with Fruity Loops, Reason, the MPC 1000, just working things on the laptop. I'm not a rapper. I tried to do it.
Yeah.
I reconnected with my friend Jonathan back in high school. And I remember he has a studio. Mm-hmm. He has a studio, and like, hey, I want to do something special with my girlfriend. And this time, it was my wife still, but because we've been together since it's been 14 years. Yeah. Since high school, so I'm like, I want to do something special, for Jessica. And he's like, cool, let's do it. And he has a studio, everything. I mean, he used to work with like a lot of people. Right. And
so it did something. You used to make beats then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. It was great money, but then with that being said, I mean, I started changing. Yeah. My the way I talked, the way I dressed, like I used to have hats on with do-rags. That's how.
Oh wow,
music video, and like I used to see like I want to be like like these guys, the rappers, but so I had a nickname. So I was DJ Young Magic, and recorded a couple things. But then like I said, I started changing, and then that's when my Jessica, my wife, she told me, hey, you know what, either that or me.
Oh wow!
And so I did that for about almost 2 years. I mean, I used to perform at like Valentino's and things like that. I used to go with the group. Oh wow! And we used to go over there, and I just helped them out. And the only reason I even went because my mom, she had like that's my chaperone, my guardian to get inside her, because they don't let anybody go in there at a certain age. But it was things like that, man, where I was like, cool, it was a great experience. Like I did a lot of cool things, like I remember for my wife's 17th birthday, I was 18, so we're only 19, we're 2 years apart. And I remember I rented a Lamborghini, a Murcielago, just to come out and in front of the house, along with a huge bumblebee that said happy birthday, like the ones at the dealerships. Yeah. That then those huge spotlights, right? The grand opening lights right there, man. A huge stretch limo, like just for her, Oh wow! And I remember a year prior, for our first year anniversary, I took her to the signature room, the Hancock building, and I remember she telling me like, hey, you know what? This is awesome. I love you. This is great. But then I guess she found out the price of the things, and she's like, honestly, I would have been happy with some tacos and a torta. Yeah. That's all right. And I would just start laughing. I'm like, and so when we did that for her 17th birthday, you know where I took her? Los Comales. Yeah. So things like that, it's like it was cool experiences, but then I was like, you know what? It's like, yeah, you're right. I don't want to be like to compromise my character, and it was a great experience. Yeah. So, but.
How important is it, do you think, to have someone that'll help you be humble and, and maybe bring you down a little bit? I mean, not down in a negative way, but give you like hey, you don't have to, you don't have to do this. Yeah,
absolutely. It's very important. I feel like, I think in all aspects of life, there's a peak where we're like, hey, I think we feel like we're bigger than everybody, and it shouldn't be like that. So my wife, she really grounded me, and she really taught me a lot. Yeah. Like, hey, you know what? I'm not like this is not, it's not necessary. I appreciate it, but it's not necessary. Right. I'm kind of glad she's like that, because like, man, like, I mean, I used to go buy her like once, like I remember like eight pairs of shoes, and that's what she wanted, and because I seen it everywhere else, and I think that's what I see in social media now. Like back then it was MySpace, you know, but yeah, it was one of the things where I knew that it was, hey, you know what, she's not like that.
How did she grow up? Like, did her parents like instill that in her, or is it just out of her character, or is that?
Yeah, definitely parents. It's always different. Like I said, my parents split when I was 14. Her parents are still together to this day. Yeah. They just, I think, celebrated their 25th wedding anniversary a couple years ago. Yeah. So it's way different. When we were like first dating, like I remember like my mom-in-law told me, oh yeah, don't come inside the house when we're not home. Like things like that. Like nowadays, like wow, like anybody don't really care. Yeah. As long as you don't get caught, right? Yeah, but it was just always those things. Like well, I didn't know that. Like my mom never told me. So those things when I was figuring out growing up, like, oh, they have a point, you know?
Yeah, because I
respect and all that.
I don't know if you're. I want to say it's Killer Mike, the rapper.
Okay.
Where he talks about how he wanted to buy like a fancy car, this and that with all his money, and his wife told him, no, you know, we're gonna buy I think it was like a 6-unit building or a 4-unit building.
Yeah.
And he bought it. I guess he bought it cash instead of buying, you know, a Lamborghini or a car like that. And he talks about how, yeah, like I guess her parents had businesses, or her parents had like real estate or stuff like that. So she learned that from them. And you know, he's like, dude, if I wouldn't have had her, I would have just blown all my money. Yeah, I would have been a totally different price story. Yeah, he goes, and now, you know, he learned to put back into the community and to invest in the community. Yeah, and that's how, you know, generational wealth is built. And absolutely, all that other stuff.
And especially in our in our culture, right? When we really talk about generational wealth and finances, right? Like it's unheard of, you know, and so I think it's really important now that I you know, networking, meeting you and other people in my circle that know about these things. Like, hey, we need to, like I said, pour it back into our community and kind of like just really teach our families, because you know, a lot of them don't even have life insurance. A lot of them don't have these things that are building equity, real estate, and those things are important. You know, we can't just live for the moment. We gotta live for the future. And so growing up, like I said, I'm seeing all these things like, man, what could I have done with that money? You know, so but those things like, hey, you know what? I lived it, a great experience. But I just want to keep moving forward and just learn from it and just kind of teach others, especially people that are younger than me. Right. Like, man, I'm like, hey guys, like, you know, hey, save your money, but don't just always just save it. Like, have it building. You know, get into the stocks and get out to all these things where you could build it. And eventually, one day, you know, man, you're gonna pat yourself in the back. You know. Yeah.
So after you dropped out of high school and then you worked and then you were doing the music thing. So how long did you do the music thing for?
Well, about 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, up to 2 years, and that's when I got into like armed security. So I was 21, but just around that time, I started a transportation business, and I used to do armed security at this one in the factory. I'm a cook, and I always see a lot of the works were from staff agencies. And so, I mean, a lot of them were undocumented. And so I saw the police always kind of like profile the vehicles, like, oh, that might look like, hey, it look like there's a whole bunch of people in there. I'm just gonna pull them over. And it was really unfortunate. A lot of them got their cars towed and just unnecessary, you know. And so that's when me and the supervisor from the private security company were like, hey, let's just start a business. Let's start a business, a transportation business, and let's help people. Let's pick them up. And this is back in like in 2009, 2010, and we're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's pick people up and charge a flat fee, pick them up in the morning and drop them off. Yeah. And we did that for a couple years, man. It was pretty good. Yeah. Eventually, where I got exhausted, man, because and that's where I kind of saw that they took advantage of me as well, because I don't have any kids. And they saw, oh, Eddie, you're okay, man. It's just your wife. And they have kids and family and all that. And so, like, you know, I was like, yeah, sure. You know, like, that's great money. So I used to go pick people up at 3:30 in the morning and drop them off before their shift at 5. And then from there, I have to go and then drop off the morning shift and then work my regular shift as well. And it was just 18 hours a day, man, every single day except for Saturdays and Sundays. So that does happen. When I used to work, the last job I had before I started the insurance brokerage, like everybody would assume that I'm the one that was gonna work the holidays, work the days nobody else wanted to work, or take all the overtime, because they're like, oh, like, you don't have a family, you don't have nothing, like, just, you know, you got me covered. And I would do it because it was good money, you know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. But after a while, you're like, dude, like, I want to chill too. You know what I mean? I want to enjoy the holidays too. And I think that was one of the biggest factors for me, where I was like, excuse me, I have to do something and do it for my own my own, or just get another job that's, you know, where the hours were any better, because I used to work the weekend night shift, and and it was like 14 hour days, 14 hour nights. So it was, wow. Yeah, it was ridiculous. Yeah, same thing, like, just holidays, man. Like, that's the thing. like I said, way before I started my, so like I said, when I left that, saved some money, and, I got married. So me and my wife, we got married to the city hall first. And so we did that first in 2010. And going from there, like, okay, we saved some money until we do like the actual reception, all that. And then when we did everything with the reception, that was in 2014. And we got married to the church, new life, like I said. And just from there, that's when our company, Magic Uplighting, that's where it started. We were looking for lights for our own wedding. And it was just so expensive. Like, hey, why not just buy them? Let's rent them. Let's keep them from us for our own wedding. And let's see what happened. And I said at that time I used to work at the hospital. I used to do public safety there. Because that's what I wanted to do once upon a time. I wanted to get into law enforcement. I wanted to follow like our family's footsteps, and just with the police officers. And but then, like I said, something changed. Something was like, you know what? I think I could kind of represent more. Because, like I said, knowing like my background, like how I just like, man, how I really came from like really just like this middle income and just seeing what I could do, like just kind of be a voice for our community because no one's really stepping up.
Right.
And so I'm like, you know what? I think let me do a business where we could give back. Yeah. And that's where, like I said, we're 5 years strong now, and we took a hit this year, like tremendous. I think everybody did. Yeah. But for us, like especially no events. Right. I remember when everything started, it was just returning back money and everything. Everybody's postponing for next year. So
yeah. Hopefully next year, it's over with and everything gets back to normal. So when going back to the transportation business, when you got out of that, so how did you do it? Like, did you, if you don't mind me asking, did you have them buy you out, or did you guys just disband the company, or how did you guys go?
Buy me out. Yeah. So these vans were like 5,000 used, and so it's like, no, I had to, if they could buy me out, because it's one of these I would just like say I would just again, there was another ultimatum. Like my wife's like, look, I haven't seen you. Like, what are you doing? Like, there's no one I know that could work 3 days straight in a row with no sleep. And I told her, I'll take a nap here and then. I work at nights, so I used to work from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. and no one's usually there during the weekends. Right. And so I told her, well, if you don't believe me, come out. I'm in this guard shack, and we're just in front of there's no employees there, and I'm just sometimes watching TV, taking a walk because I don't want to fall asleep, and then from there and then work like the rest of the hours. So at that time she's like, hey, well, we can't do this, Right. So there's another ultimatum there. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, cool. And that's when I talked to him, and I was like, hey, I gotta get out of this, And good thing, like I said, I saved a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was one of the things like, it was a good lesson too. Like, hey, again, paperwork, it can't be on a handshake, things like that, because it does take time when people don't have anything in writing. So all those things, like, man, like I kind of wish that I could have signed things to expedite certain things. Right. But other than that, it was pretty good. Like I said, it was a good life, lesson. Yeah. Yeah.
How important do you think it is, like, to get everything in writing when it comes to just business in general, with everything from renting lights to, clients for rides and stuff like that?
Oh, absolutely. It's very important, because it's, everything's liability. Something happens, I mean, that's your investment, right. And so if there's nothing there and you're just going off based off like, oh, well, here, everything's gonna be okay, and you just never know. And then it maybe not be even the client, it might be like a guest from whatever, or maybe someone takes something, someone wanted to be funny, or some kid takes it on accident. Who knows? There's a lot of things.
Do you think that's a cultural thing with us, where with Latinos, where we're just like, okay, él dijo que sí, you know what I mean, and that's it. Yeah.
Very cultural, yeah. But then at the end of the day, we're like, hey, you know what? I'm doing this because I care about you, and I care for you. It's not that I don't trust you, right? But anything can happen.
Yeah, I think sometimes you do have to explain it, because you might take it the wrong way, and you're just like, look, man, it has nothing to do with you, nothing to do with me. It's just, that's how it is here. You gotta do it like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
So when you started the light business, so that was kind of like, It wasn't intentional. You know what I mean? Like you started with your wedding and everything else.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but how did you start? How did you learn to upskill, or when did you know? All right, I have to buy this, or I have to do that, or
what I think,
or was it learning on in the process?
Oh man, it was definitely learning, man.
Yeah,
I had so many. You had so many mistakes.
Yeah.
But that's what I like about it. You know, it's just like just build on it. You know, you learn from it. One of the things where I do remember, and it's hard for me to say no. That's the thing for me, man. It's hard for me to say no to people. Mm-hmm. I remember it was just lights, and people say, "Hey, do you do projections?" I'm like, no. I mean, yes, there you go. You know, and I was like, oh, think about it, and I'm like, and so I would look it up and find a way to do it, and I just bring it back and tell my wife, like, you know what? Look at this, this projector is worth $800. If we sell this design, we sell it for $125. Just imagine it's gonna be paid off in 7 events.
Was that the first business that you were you and your wife worked together?
Yes, yes.
How was that?
It was good.
Yeah.
And then also, like I said, it was a lot of, we learned a lot too.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard, to, work with somebody that, saying is you're going to be there all the time. And especially with with your spouse. But I mean, I learned through it, and I was like, you know what, if she's telling me this because, she cares about me, not because she wants to be controlling.
Right.
But at first I didn't see, I'm like, wow, what are you talking about? I'm with, I'm nice to everybody, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm like, hey, she told me, oh no, it has to make sure you do this and to make sure the invoices and the follow up. And so a lot of things where like I learned a lot too.
What did she work in at that time?
So at that time, she was a dentist assistant.
Okay.
And but yeah, she at first she wanted to be a nurse, so she went through the CNA program.
Yeah.
And she did that, and she didn't like it. She did the dentist thing. She didn't like it.
Yeah.
She got into hair, and she does like it, but then she's like, man, it's like to be standing up, and
it's a lot of hours.
Yeah, it's a lot of hours. But yeah, she's like a natural born hustler, man.
Yeah.
She loves to go to the thrift stores, buy anything for $2-3 and flipping it on eBay or Amazon.
Yeah.
Or Mercari, so other platforms.
Right.
So it's pretty crazy how she just loves doing that. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So it's so when you started the business and you started upskilling and everything else, was there anything that you thought that was the hardest part about just starting that business? Like anything that you found really difficult for yourself?
Well, yeah, it was a thing when we wanted to get a storefront, and we were looking and everything like that. But then we started seeing that it wasn't. We didn't have that many people that wanted to come see us. Everybody was just. They saw the website. They send the emails like, hey, we want lights. We want this photo booth. And that's what I'm saying. We started adding more services, and people just. Like, hey, I want this, that, how many hours, bam, send an invoice, sign it, that's it.
How important do you think it is to have your website and your like you? So now everybody looks online. Everything's basically online. Like you say, like storefronts, offices, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They say, I think it's with everything, dude. Like from cars, houses, everything else. Yeah. People shop online first before they actually go and buy the product or call the company. How important do you think it is to have an updated website and a website that's client friendly? You could say.
Okay. Like user friendly.
User friendly.
No, it's very important. Like I said, I was a person to be like, you know what, everything's gonna be word of mouth. But when it comes to the website, especially the SEO and the keyword and the right key phrases. It's very important because when people are going on a search engine, either it's Google or Safari, which have you, and so and whatever you put on there, it's gonna be first. And that's the thing. That's everybody's goal, is to go on there. And some people are spending a lot of money in those keywords and buying those ads in Google ad space. So it's very important, but also something something that captures people's like, oh wow, I see this, and so I mean that it has to do like a lot of marketing as well.
Right.
So just like something that it's very presentable and people are like the right angles and of what you had to offer. So and just telling the story as well. That's the thing with us. Like we don't want to be just an ordinary event rental company. We want to be able to say, hey, we're an event rental company, but we also offer this and service, and then we also are involved in the community.
So like, what services do you offer right now with your company?
Yeah, so like I said, everything. So all of our lighting is wireless, and we take pride in that because we don't have to worry about wires, extension cords. Everything is just battery powered, and we could set up lights in less than 15 minutes.
Oh wow!
And that's the thing. When we first started, it took us maybe 45 minutes to set up a room with 12 lights. Now we could set up a room in like 5 minutes. It depends on the manpower.
Yeah.
Because there are times we would do 5 or 6 events in a day.
Oh wow!
So it's so much easier. Yeah, they cost more, but I mean, if you think about the return on investment when it comes to how many events you can put together, it's so much easier. And then we don't have to worry about getting on our knees and putting the gaff tape and to do this and that. And sometimes some of these venues don't even have outlets to work. Some of them, the outlets are coming out. So it's all those things.
Yeah,
it's so much easier now.
How important is lighting for an event?
Oh, it's very important.
It changes the whole atmosphere, right?
It does, yeah. The ambience. Sometimes it's a wow factor, depending how many lights there is.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a luxury. Honestly, it's a luxury, but it's something that people don't really. Because I understand. I know people. I know clients that spend maybe $5,000 on florals, and I get it. They're beautiful, but that's the thing with, you kind of have to really just pick and say, hey, really when people enter a room, like, and with our lights, you can change them in color and we can match the decor. It's really important to get that feel.
Because I've been to parties where like they're halls, but they're old halls. I mean, like not to say that they're ugly, but they're just old. I mean, they're a little bit outdated, but they have the perfect lighting in there. Yeah. You walk in, you're like, holy cow! Like this place is totally different.
Oh, it changes.
I would totally rent a cheaper hall and get better lighting and make it look really cool than.
Oh, absolutely.
God knows how much on a hall that's modern but doesn't have anything of lighting. I mean, it just looks like a regular hall.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing. We also drapery, and so drapery, we could do so many things. We could really just really cover walls. I mean, we could go up to 25 feet up in the air, and we have different designs of the way we could really drape the walls or for the head tables. So
do you do it all yourself, or do you have you and your wife, or do you have a crew?
I know. I wish. No, we do have a crew, and so that's the thing. I can't get on ladders, man. Like, I love it. No, I can't. Yeah. No, we have a great team. And that's the thing, like, I usually let my wife handle all those things because she has, like, the vision for that. Mm-hmm. And she really could see, like, beyond, like, the scope of things. So she'll be like, okay, yeah, this is me there. And like I said, all the lighting, it could highlight columns. It could highlight something architectural. But it has to be something, like, very strategic, where it's like, okay, light from here to this wall, and then really just kind of balance the room out. Right. So I'm just glad that we have a great team that's just dedicated to, like I said, the dance floors, vinyl dance floors. We do projections. We do the cloud, the dancing in cloud machine as well. The coast parks where it looks like indoor like fireworks, but it's not. So it's one of the things where, man, it's a great production.
I didn't know that those were cold sparks. I didn't know that that's what that was. When Eddie had his grand opening here, they were like, they're gonna have fireworks inside, and I had entered the building. I was like, dude, like, you're gonna burn the building down there. And they're like, no, like it's cold spark, like it doesn't, it's not fire. So how does that work?
It's powder, and I forgot the name of it. It's like pyrotechnics. Yeah. And they're in these packets, and you put it in there, and it takes it takes about a minute or so to warm up. And it just goes away. You can't. The only thing we just tell people, like, you can't. I mean, you can put your hand around it. You feel like a little tickling sensation, but you can't really put like a cloth on there because it'll go through it. I mean, it won't burn it, but it will get a little bit like a little charred. Yeah, just a little.
Oh wow, that's cool.
That's why I tell like some of the brides, like, that we do, like, kind of step away from it. Yeah. I mean, you could go right there, but just don't too much, because then you start seeing a little bit.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah.
So going back to the business and everything else, so I know you do a lot with the community. You're part of. So are you part of the Chamber of Commerce, or what are you a part of? I know I went.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm part of a lot of organizations. With the Chamber, I'm not. I resigned a couple months ago.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, I've been involved, like for example, the Tourism Museum of Oak Lawn. Okay. I've been there for 3 years as a board member, as well as the Puppet Mill Project, as well as what else? The fundraising committee with the Boys Club Cicero. I'm also involved with the West Lawn Neighborhood Watch. So I mean, I'm involved with many organizations.
Yeah.
And just kind of give them a boost when it comes to like events, marketing. Because like I said, that's my background. We've been putting events for many years now, and so it's one of the things where it's like, hey, you know what? Anything to really help, other organizations like thrive and really just kind of give them a leg up when it comes to those things. Because yeah, I mean, content, and it's important, and also really kind of like addressing whatever the need of the program or what we need to fundraise or campaign for.
Right.
It's very important to have like nice graphics or a nice video to it, because I also do video.
Yeah.
So one of the things like that, especially now with everything going on, it's one of the things I even offer to small businesses. Hey, let me help you out with the free business commercial, because it's a lot of them don't have a presence online, let alone like a website. So I was like, hey, something, if you guys will be on social media, let me help you out with a video, kind of tell your story and kind of showcase what you have to offer, what service you have, or what kind of product you're selling. And so it's very important to like, especially give back to a lot of these organizations.
How important do you think it is to give back to the communities that you grew up in, or that you basically make, that you have your business and that you make money off of? How important do you think that is?
Well, it's a balance. It's especially now, man. It's like I see, like especially in where I'm at. I'm in West Lawn, and like I said, I've been. Like, so we've been involved there for the last 5 years, but I feel like this year has been really like it stepped up more because our business really slowed down. So it basically allowed me more free time to really like get involved with more like grassroots like organizations in the community, where we could kind of facilitate like this past couple months ago, like we got a real nice generous donation from Hispanic Star Chicago, and they donated like 1,000 hygiene products. And they just told me, hey, Eddie, distribute them, and get people out there. And all we need, hey, here's a logo, but also, just tell the community, hey, this is what's going on, because it's needed. And then also helping out another organization called A Blessing Hand, where we're able to pass out healthy meals because of Cocina RX, Food Hero, and things like that. Just kind of like take them to the community, because no one was doing it. And so that's kind of like where I feel that there was a void that needed to be, filled. Yeah. So that's why it was like, you know what, if no one's stepping up, I have to kind of step up for my community. Yeah. So that's why you've been seeing like, if like one thing or another, just like said, things like that, and doing sensitive events, doing COVID-19 testing, and just like I said, it's all collaboration. It's not by myself. It's collaborating with other stakeholders of the community, and just getting them to be like, okay, this is what we need. Okay, I could connect you with this person. I could go with this, and just collaborating with other organizations. It's just doing it for the community.
Yeah. I want to ask you. So like you brought up New Life and like the church and that, because they're big right there at Pulaski, right off of Pulaski.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe I just never saw it before, like I see it now. But how important do you think the churches are right now, like in regards to helping the community now? Do you think we see it more now just because of social media, or is it because people like your age, this generation now, is getting more involved with it now, and maybe we had like a gap in a while where, our parents were maybe getting older, we weren't old enough, so you didn't see that as much, and now it's changing a little bit, because now you do see a lot of a lot more helping from organizations like that.
Oh, absolutely. It's I mean, social media really changed a lot. Yeah. Excuse me. Especially just like the openness and everything that is out there. People are just like, man, sharing, especially now, like this is where where the help is very needed right now. And so these are very important resources that we need. And like I said, I've been involved with New Life for, it's been just around almost 10 years, but it'll be on and off because like with our business, like I said, there was a time where me and my wife were youth mentors there. were youth leaders there. Where I was mentoring the juniors and seniors, the boys, and she was mentoring the eighth grade girls. And so, and through that, we learned so much. But like I said, this had to be back in 2014. Mm-hmm. So we would do youth marches in the community. We used to do a whole bunch of events for the youth, and or also go to like some retreats in Wisconsin, Camp Wonderland. And so things like that, I'm like, man, it's one of the things where, like, man, this is what what we want to do and to give back. But it wasn't like in the scale that it is now. Like social media is giving a platform for a lot of the churches, a lot of organizations to get out there and share their message and what they have to offer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw you were picking. You were helping clean on Pulaski the parking lots and all that other stuff from the celebrations, you could say.
You know what? Yeah. Supermom. That was very interesting.
Yeah.
You know what? It's one of the things where, I was, and I think it all started right when the whole unrest was going on. It's like that's when I got involved with the Neighborhood Watch, and that's the thing I try to tell people. Like, yeah, you know what? There's kind of like that stigma, like, oh, Neighborhood Watch are the ones they're they're profiling people and calling the police unnecessarily. No, that's the thing. We're just if we have 30 minutes to an hour, if we're driving around and hey, we see something on the road right here, hey, we're just the eyes and ears. That's it. Really just trying to protect our community, and our neighbors. And so when everything was happening, I remember that one. It had to be a Sunday. And right when the looting everything was happening, right there was they were breaking in, they were looting the Foot Locker on Pulaski.
Yeah.
Right there on 40. I was right there by the Supermall, and so I remember just calling them up, like, hey, what can I do? Because the office where I'm renting at right now, it's on City 3rd in Keville. And so, and I talked to the owner there, Jackie Cervera. I don't know if you know her, with Farmers Insurance. And so I was telling the neighborhood, like, hey, what can I do to help out? And it's crazy. It's like, well, yeah, come out, volunteer, because I want to get involved before. And I remember just putting the post out in the Facebook group, and there had to be over 100 people that came out, and you were just out there, just kind of like, patrolling, the community. And so it spiraled like crazy, because like I remember it was like, okay, well, we're gonna have a meeting in Huck Finn on Pulaski and 67th, and like 100 cars showed up, and that was the first thing I ever encountered, anything like that, And so it was hard for me and the two other ladies that were there that lead the Neighborhood Watch. Like, we never had anything to do with that, And so it wasn't perfect, because it's kind of hard to manage 100 people, let alone because a lot of people are there were for the wrong reason. A lot of people want to take matters into their own hands, and that's why I was trying to tell them, like, look, we're not vigilantes, we're not. We're just the eyes and ears, Don't get out of your cars. Don't do anything like that. If you see something, just call the police. But usually when people see a car, they're going to stop. They're like, oh, they're going to stop what they're doing, or they're going to try and get out fast. So it was just like that, things like that, honk the horn, simple things. And that's where I was like, okay, that's why I like, okay, let's organize a cleanup, not just at the park. Because I know the parks have a program called, I think it's Pitchin' for parks, I believe. And so, but this was something that I helped put together, and it was just kind of like organizing with it and and there was a lot of people that came out. It was pretty awesome, and we all communicate through this app called Zelle, and it's free. And we're just like, okay, anybody needs for us to pick up some garbage bags, we'll go there, we'll drop off, and it just we started doing them every month, and just really get the community involved. And like I said, throughout this whole time, man, like I met so many people. Like, yeah, it's been like an hour, like so many people that like, wow, this is, like, so I guess there's like a silver lining throughout this, that we got more closer to each other. Right. And that's the thing, like, I can't do it alone. I can't. It's a whole team, and I built so many real amazing friendships and relationship with people. Like, hey, get to know each other, and let's just let's all do things, like, for the community. And so that's where that happened. The whole cleanup. I was like, you know what? I was streaming since downtown right before the Mexican Independence Day. It's just like, hey, just kind of show what's going on, because I know with media, man, media really kind of change the narrative at times, and so I was like, hey, if something goes wrong, guess what? I was filming. You know, you can't cut a live video.
Yeah.
And so I was there, and then from there I went to that same day on the Mexican Independence Day that they blocked people from going to downtown. So like, okay, we'll just stay over here, and I end up being at the Super Mall, the parking lot.
Yeah.
A lot of people, man. It has to be maybe 100 people
more
or more.
I was out that day. That Monday I went out. I just went to go cruise. I was like, you know what, let me go. Yeah. Me and one of the guys upstairs were like, you know what, let's go check it out. Let's go see what's going on. Yeah. We just literally these little gnats. I'm saying. We cruised around and everything else, and yeah, nobody was like, nobody was getting out of hand. Yeah. I mean, everybody was just cruising. Yeah, was cruising, literally blasting their music, honking their horn. Yeah, there's guys burning time, peeling out and stuff like that. But nobody was looting. Absolutely. Nobody was breaking windows. Nobody was defacing public property. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure it was a headache for people that were stuck in that traffic or stuff like that. But other than that, I mean, like, I don't feel like it was I don't think it was a bad event. And then that night, we went again, and there was just groups of people everywhere, and I think I dropped off a buddy that lived around there, and we passed by, and that parking lot was just packed. Yeah, it had to have been thousands, bro.
Where
in
the Super Mall?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it started. I remember just hearing a tambarazo. What the heck? What is going on? I went over there. I'm like, sure enough, we're in the parking lot, and everybody was just dancing. And I came at distance, but still, it was just like there was a little area where it's like by a tree, and just stood there. And but I noticed a lot of people were throwing the bottles, because where I was at, there was like it was a tree, but it's kind of like a little island, and there's like rocks right there and like dirt. Mm-hmm. So people were throwing the bottles. I'm like, what are you guys? I mean, I can't say anything either. Like, who am I? Yeah. So. It's one of the things like, oh man, I feel bad for the people in the morning. Yeah. Because and then I left because the guy was there. He had to go to work the following day. Like, hey, I gotta go. It's already 1:00. Like, okay, let's go. Yeah. I think it was there for about 2 hours and just streaming. And then sure enough, like, man, I had that in my head. I'm like, man, you know what? It's gonna be bad. No one's gonna pick up. Right. And so, yeah, I made a post like at 2 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, and saying, hey, who wants to join? Who wants to join me? Let's go. Even if by myself, at least I did something. Right. And sure enough, went over there. I was it was like 8:00 in the morning. Told people to show up, and yeah, at least 2 volunteers showed up, and one of the workers from the Super Mall, she was out there, and I was like, hey, I'm here to help. And she was like very upset, like, I'm like, hey, well, what I'm saying? Nothing happened, but I mean, at least, like, I'm here and we could do it together, That's the only thing where it's like, I wasn't calling out anybody. It was just like, hey, if you're going to celebrate, do it responsibly, pick up after yourselves, But it's one of those things where it's like, I got a lot of heat from it. I got people messaging me like,
did you?
Yeah, it was like, people call me, why? Well, why? Come on. Like, I didn't answer that. I was just like, I left it. I'm like, come on, like, really? Like, I'm just saying, like, if you were there, just pick up.
Yeah. Like, you drink, just throw the empties in a bottle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Throw it in your car.
A lot of people was like, oh, well, job security for the people there. I'm like, really? No, it's it's not fair for the people there to do triple the work. Because I mean, not only that, Super Mall opens up at 10 a.m. There was glass everywhere. So you mean to tell me it's okay for people to go there, park the car, and then now they got a flat tire?
I think I personally, I think what you did was really good. Two, I think if people don't clean up or people don't start doing stuff like what you did, that escalates really fast. Yeah. Because if nobody cares about it, then nobody's gonna care about it. Yeah. And then you're gonna have a lot of people just throwing garbage everywhere, doing that. And I used to have a property in Pilsen, and I remember one summer, I was always particular about cleaning up, when I bought the property, it was the guy didn't really take care of it. You know what I mean? So the property was, on the outside, it had curb appeal. You could say it was garbage everywhere. Everything else, the yard was terrible. When I purchased it, I started cleaning up. I started making everything look nice. And I noticed that the tenants started cleaning up after themselves a little bit more, being a little bit more cleaner. Yeah. And I remember one summer, my lawnmower broke down. So maybe for like a month, bro, I didn't cut the grass because like the lawnmower, I had it in the shop, I took it to the repair shop. Yeah. And everything else. So by the time I went to go cut the grass was long. There was garbage everywhere, bro. Wow. Everybody, I guess, like they felt like I wasn't taking care of it, so they were like, they were probably like, fuck it. Yeah. So like, there was garbage everywhere, and I thought to myself, like, man, like that escalated really quick from from 1 month of me not cutting the grass. Now they just don't care anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, this has been going on for time. Like, when people leaving things, and it's true. Like, if you see something, you just like, oh, well, if that's there, I could do it too. No one's going to see. Who cares? So, I mean, but now, like, with social media, that's another thing. Like, people tend to be like, oh, like, people are freaking out. Like, like, oh, people are nasty. I'm like, hold up, but, it's not everybody, and that's been going on. But it wasn't on social media. Right. It just took this incident where it went to another level. People were sharing like crazy, and I didn't think it was gonna go like that. Right. But again, there was a lot of people who were just like, man, this is awesome, and that's the thing. It's just like I just want to inspire others to really just do something in the community, because I can't be everywhere. I mean, a lot of people are like, hey, could you get involved here, and there? I'm like, honestly, I'm trying to build others up in your community so they can lead, because I can't be everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to start a family, and it's one of the things where I see like, man, like in our community, it's awesome. I'm trying to build others up in that. So, hey, one day if I have to, stay behind and to raise like for my family, that it'll be in good hands, and then just mobilize other community leaders to really step up, because it's hard. I was never the one to be on camera to get, hey, let's do this. I was never like that. Right. But everything changed when when we started our business. In order to get out there and then to get known, like, you really have to network with people, right? Connect with others. And so it's the same model. Like, I never see anybody as competition. I mean, I used to always network with other photo booth companies. People are like, well, why, Eddie? I'm like, well, just in case my photo booth printer might break and I need someone, that has the same printer, and I could rent from them. Where am I going to get it? Am I going to take a hit and just return all the money? No. Yeah. I could return some money because it's late or it's behind or it's backed up. But now I have a photo booth contact for here, a contact for this person. Right. You never know.
That's totally true. Like, I know who you're talking about, Jackie Esta from Farmers, right? Mm-hmm. I have spoken with her before. Yes. I do. I like only the phone. Like, I don't remember if I met her in person once at a networking event. But yeah, dude, like me, like for insurance wise, I always network with everybody, because like you say, like there's something you might not be able to do, or there's something like you have a question on or stuff like that. Yeah. And you're gonna be able to. And I feel like sometimes that's the word. I think in the Latino community, sometimes people see each other as in the old school community. Mm-hmm. They see each other as competition somehow or whatever, and they just don't want to work with each other, or they're just, and I do see that right away. Like, I do have other people that that are Latinos that are insurance agents or brokers or captive agents, and like it is what it is. Like, they can do whatever they want, but at the end of the day, like, dude, we should all be one. There's business for everybody.
Absolutely. I mean, let alone 3 million, whatever, in Chicago alone. Mm-hmm. You can't service everybody, could you?
Yeah. So like, one, there's business for everybody. Two, like, we're a huge market. Yeah. So like, dude, just get along. We're stronger united than we are divided. You know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest thing that I see that I feel is a mistake that a lot of people make, is where they think, like, oh no, well, sometimes you have to just
I think everybody has that crab in the bucket mentality. If we were to, like I said, get together and it's like, hey, we're all going toward the same mission, And it's helping others first because, for insurance, helping people. For photo booths, giving people a great experience. For whatever business we're in, it's to help people at the end of the day. But at the same time, also make a living for ourselves. Yeah. We all do the same thing. We could really prosper and really bring up our communities instead of just kind of like this thing where like, oh, well, I can't talk to this person because this. I mean, come on, guys. It's not grammar school, you know?
Yeah. So one question, bro, is that I asked everybody 2 questions. Yes. First question, what did you want to be when you were going to grow up?
An FBI agent.
An FBI agent?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I remember there was a picture. I know my mom has it. And I remember I was holding up something and I put FBI. Yeah. That's what I wanted to do. You know, I wanted to do something to do in law enforcement. Yeah. But then I said that, you know, that changed quickly. Yeah. One, because, you know, school is like, to me, it's really, you know, really hard for me, I guess, to concentrate. Like, I feel like I have like this thing where it's like, man, it's like, it doesn't. I think I have like this shiny object syndrome. You know, it's like I see something like I want it, and if it's not something that I really want, then I'm not gonna be 100% in there. Yeah. So it's a good and it's a bad thing. But that's why I quickly learned that, especially because when I was working, I left my job almost 4 years ago, my full-time job, to pursue the business. And I noticed that, like I said, we don't talk about finances. We don't talk about savings and what to invest. So I remember our second year in business, where I was just like living off the business, and that was a no-no. You know, I was like, man, doing this, that, and travel here, there, but you know, I learned from that experience, like, oh, it shouldn't be like that. Like, tell people, don't live off your business. Like, just save and just trying to, you know, really handle finances and make sure you budget for things, because when you live out your business, man, it's like, man, that could quickly go wrong, you know? Because especially like for now, like, you gotta really save for like times like these, you know?
So for people that wouldn't, to explain it better to people. Yeah. So you say living off your business. So correct me if I'm wrong. So you're saying like everything, your money's coming in and you're just spending it as fast as you're making it because you're making money at that time. Is that what you mean when? Yeah. Instead of like having a set salary, a set payroll and budgeting everything. Yeah.
Like I said, it's one of the things where like, wow, it's like I really have to look into those things and it's like, okay, there has to be this, you know, when it comes to like bills and all these things when it comes to business, because then like often we get confused. And so that's why I tell people like, hey, even if you start a business, like don't just quit your job, you know, just make sure something's secure and it's like it's automated, but you just make sure that you have a plan. Because when I left, I left because I got 2 secure contracts that was gonna be using our lights every weekend. So I'm like, oh man, this pays what I was making at Holy Cross, you know. So I'm set. And then from there I got this, I don't know, from this old mind like, oh, I'm good. I'm gonna sit back, you know, and just let the business run. And no, you have to keep going. So I quickly, like the final year, now just like, okay, we're not spending on this unnecessary things.
Yeah. That's how it is. If I could go back and do anything different, I wouldn't have quit my job right away. So I'm like, man, I'm just gonna open the doors. Money's gonna, you know, fall from the ceiling, and I'll be straight. You know what I mean? So I was like, and then like if I could do anything over again in that time period, I wouldn't have quit my job. I would have, as much as at that time I didn't want to be there anymore. Yeah. I would have stuck around. You know what I mean? Maybe another, because even then, like I think about it, that schedule that I was on at work wasn't that bad. You know what I mean? It would have gave me enough time during the week to work. You know what I mean? Work on my business and still work there. But it is what it is. But
that's the thing. Like for me, I was like, I had to get out because I was doing public safety. So the same thing as like security. We have our own department, and every other day, man, I used to get in fights. Yeah. And it was just because sometimes something was going on with the patient, and they were trying to fight like nursing staff, throw like stuff around, and so really I was putting my life in danger, you know, because it was just like, you know, every time we hear that code gray, we had to go respond. And that's when something's happening, like something like violent or something like an altercation going on. So we had to respond to these things. And so, yeah, I mean, there was times I got hit a number of times, like in the jaw, like right here, and I probably lost like 4 like watches. They ripped them out of me from Walmart. But it's just things like that. I told my wife like, I gotta get out of here. I feel like I'm gonna get really hurt, and that's it. And there was a time where I did get hurt really bad. This was back in 2014. I got in like real bad altercation with a psych patient. He was discharged and didn't want to leave, and he was causing disturbance. And I was telling him lightly, "Hey, let's go." And all of a sudden, he just lunged at me, and he was fighting me. And so I was the only one there. It was a turn. We're turning around the shift, and thank God some other nurses, male nurses, was there, and they kind of held him down. But he was punching me, like, and I was trying to stop him. And for us, it's different. We can't hit patients. We're fired. So we had to like restrain them, hold them, and then that's when the staff comes, and we had to put them on 4-point restraints. And sometimes, depending if they're a patient or something happened, they medically restrain them, or they just put them there until the cops come or something like that. But I couldn't get him in handcuffs, because he had my arms, and we fell, and I hit my leg on in the weight room, and the metal part, and I kind of tore it. I got a torn meniscus. So I had to go through surgery, and so. Yeah, it was really bad. So that's from there. That's kind of like I was always like, man, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, no.
And then like I said, about 2 years later, I left. About 2 years, I left 2016. Yeah. So it was one of the things like, man, you know what? I it's not for me. This law enforcement thing, Cause I couldn't imagine going through that phase. Like, nah. Cause I used to actually, crazy story. I used to be a Central Police Explorer. Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember I was working in Oak Ridge with Faye. I was 15, and I saw them come in, and they were eating. I'm like, hey, that was a cool uniform. And I asked them. I think his name was Superintendent Marler Barrett. And so I asked them, and just like, hey, I was there for a couple of years, 2 years, but then I couldn't stay in there because I didn't live in Cicero. Okay. So, but it was a good experience, man. I mean, I remember Cicero Police would go there. They'll be in the K9. Sometimes they'll come to talk to us, to the youth, and it was a great experience. Like I said, that's what I wanted to do, and eventually I was like, nah, this is a whole another level. I was like, I could do so much, in the capacity that I could control. Right. So, yeah, it's been pretty good, man.
Cool. Yeah. And bro, last question.
Yeah.
What advice would you today give your younger self growing up in Brighton Park?
Wow.
Before you move.
Before I moved. Well, I mean, like I said, I remember, there's a couple of people that I knew that end up getting killed in gun violence. Yeah. And like I said, that's again, it just hang around with the wrong people, and just hang around with others that are in gangs. So that's the thing. It's me knowing like, okay, I kind of knew who were in the gang and who wasn't, because we're fairly young. But it's one of the things that like it's just able to communicate with your parents and tell them where you're at. Because that's the thing with my dad. He would be like, okay, you gotta come home at 6, and if he was a loud whistler, and he would tell me, if you don't hear my whistle, you're too far. And so I was not that far away from there. Like, I remember my friends used to tell me, "Oh, Eddie, what happened? Where you going?" I'm like, "Can I go home?" Because I'm gonna get the chancla or something, get the cinturón. Yeah. And that's why I thank him for that, because I'm like, if I could have been longer and didn't care, like I would have been like just out, would have been somewhere further away that I'm not supposed to. And that's what things happen, sometimes you're at the a place in the wrong time.
Yeah, wrong place, wrong time.
Or the wrong people. More people might think you're it is dark, they don't know who they're seeing. Yeah. Walking home and anything like that. So I mean, it's one of the things where it's like, man, it's just communicate and just know that, hey, especially when the youth nowadays, like social media, and like I said, it could be a blessing, it could be a curse, because everybody that sees things on social media think it's real. A lot of it's staged. A lot of it's like
smoke and mirrors out there.
Yeah, and so this is one of the things. Like, man, it's hard, especially in a community where it's like, and it's just talking to parents. I remember we did an event there. We did our Christmas event, and we gave back to all the kindergarten, the first graders, second graders, gifts. And I remember parents saying that they don't take their kids outside of the community because it's dangerous. I'm like, you guys never went to the zoo. You guys never went to like this park downtown. So I mean, like I said, it's like that disconnect. Yeah. And so that's why I think we just gotta address those issues and really be in front of it. It's like, hey, there's so much more out there. Yeah. But it just takes it takes a village. It takes time to really build that trust, because no one's gonna end up doing something just because this person seems nice. Right. You just never know. Like I said, social media, it's this whole other thing.
Yeah. No, it is. And then one more question, bro.
Yeah, man.
And I'm gonna throw it out there just to see. It's October. It's spooky season. You've worked in all these halls, setting up stuff. Yeah. And you've had diverse jobs. Yes. Any ghost stories you might have that you?
Ghost?
Yeah, ghost
stories.
Anything weird?
Well, believe it or not, the Congress. Michigan Avenue. Yeah. We did an event there, and it was my wife that experienced it. Okay. She told me that we had to put some lights, because they have a place where they do the weddings. Yeah. And there's upstairs where they go to the upstairs, and it's just like very crowded and very narrow. And so I remember going up there, and I remember she telling me, hey, I had this, like, was that you? I'm like, what? Like I don't know, you said something. I'm like, no, I didn't say anything. And she said that she heard like someone in this like hallway, because you were setting up lights the opposite where I was at, and she thought it was me. I'm like, no. And yeah, so that's one of the experiences where and then you hear like
they say the Congress is haunted.
Yeah. So but yeah, it was like very narrow, like, and then there's certain places like very cold. Really? It's crazy because everywhere else is warm, and then it's just very cold. I don't know, it's weird. But as in ghost stories, I mean, that's like the only thing. I remember when we took a little vacation to Louisiana. We went over there, and we checked in this hotel. I forgot the name of it, but it was right in front of the Federal Reserve. And I remember it was for my birthday. And I remember we went from the lobby, and I picked up this cup and filled it up with lemonade, took it upstairs. And it's funny because we were about to go to eat dinner. It was like this restaurant really like a block away. I left my cup in the table, and then when we came back, that cup wasn't there. And kid you, my wife, she's like 5'2", and we're looking around like, what happened to the cup? And I looked up, and then it was on top of this shelf.
No way.
Yeah, and I was like, I know it's not her. We left at the same time. She's 5'2". She's not gonna get on this chair and put it up there. Yeah. That was freaky. And when we looked at the bed, the bedboard, and there was like you could see a handprint.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was really scary, man. I was like, okay, and I mean, we read a lot of hotels where they are haunted, but we like this one, it wasn't. But that was, and it was like so late. I'm like, do I really want to get another room? Yeah. I'm like, this has to be something, and I just put some Christian music, man. I just like that set.
And with that note, thank you for stopping by, bro.
Oh man, thanks a lot, man.
Again, so we could talk about
absolutely
everything else, the community, and all that other stuff that you do. And yeah, bro.
Yeah, one day at a time, man. Thanks for the invitation.
No, bro. Thanks for stopping by.
Oh, absolutely.
Appreciate your time.
Yes. Thank you, Luis.